Hey everybody, so in my series of popular Steven Universe characters, Peridot of course shouldn't be missing, so we are going to draw her too. Alright then, let's get right to it. So, at first we're going to start with an oval shape for the head, just like that. And we are, of course, drawing the center lines at first to determine the direction at which she is looking at. Like that. Now we are giving the head its shape. At first I'm going to add this part of her hair right here. We are cutting off a small piece from the side, and then pretty much close to the chin we have this spike coming in for the hair. You can also make a little split right here. Alright, and we draw the chin, and the chin starts here a bit beneath this little tip of the spike. And then she has a very pointy chin, like so. And then the side, pretty normal, and the forehead is surrounded by pretty straight edges, like so, 3 of them. Right, the top one is just flat. Something like that. Okay. Now the nose is normally pointing up like this. Maybe even has a slight curvature here at the top. And then we have the eyes. The eyes are, as often for Steven Universe characters, pretty much only these big oval shapes. Ah, I see. Hoko is back. Alright. Oh my god, I'm getting invaded. Don't do that with the microphone, come on. Okay, so yeah, these big oval shapes like this, and I'm going to give her a kind of puzzled expression, kind of also a bit annoyed. So I'm giving her this kind of indication of an eyebrow, something like that. It doesn't really have eyebrows, but sometimes it's drawn like that. And then this one is pointing downwards like this. And she's looking down onto something. I don't know what it is yet, but we will see. And maybe it's the thing she is so confused about and irritated. Then we draw the gem on her forehead, of course. First of all, just this simple triangular shape. But then we kind of cut off these edges here to give the gem its typical shape, like so. It's not completely just a triangle. And as for the mouth, I draw her this kind of expression. What she normally has is this kind of this M shape mouth, like a cat shape or something like that. I find it very cute, so of course I have to use that too. And she's like, oh my god, why does this thing not work like as I tell it to? Oh my. So for the hair, we are going to take half of the size of this oval that we drew and make a mark right here, this distance here. Then we draw a curve that goes pretty far off from the head itself. Just a slight curvature, not too much, not like this or anything, but also not completely straight. And then we simply connect it with the little mark that we drew before. And then the other side, of course she's looking to the side, and therefore this distance here is shorter than here, and simply connect it like that, and this should have basically the same height. Alright, and then we can also add some splits here and there at the ends, at the corners of her hairstyle. And sometimes also you have this kind of line here too, but it's not necessary. Okay, so keep in mind that this hairstyle is something like this kind of shape Like this would here be the front, and then we also have kind of a spike back here, but you're not really seeing this part here, I think, and this is why it looks like that. It's hard to explain, but it has some three-dimensionality to it. Alright, now let's go to the body. First, of course, we have to draw the neck. Just a very simple, slender neck, as like that. Also not that long. Now we are going to draw the chest. The width of the chest is going to be as wide as the head itself. Something like that. And we are starting at first with the shoulder part, and then I'm drawing the front of the chest, just with a slight curvature. And we're not drawing it very long. About this size is already enough. And then here we have the shoulder part, so it curves in this direction, and then we change the curvature to the other direction to give her the shape of her chest. And then a slight curve at here at the bottom to connect it. Just like that. Now we are drawing here a center line to help us out, and from here we draw this curve to this corner here, and also to this corner over here. So this is going to be the pattern that she has on her uniform. Like that, and here in the middle there should be a diamond shape be formed right here. This is an important part of their uniforms of the homeworld gems, that they all have these diamond shapes everywhere. For the crystal gems it is the star shapes. So now I'm also going to add here a small part additionally for the waist, make it a bit longer, and then for the legs. The legs don't exactly start like this, so at the same point where we have the waist, but slightly displaced, so we give her the form of her butt. As simple as that. Alright, give it like an appropriate curvature. It's a bit, size, not curvature, size. It's a bit smaller than the size of the head. And also here, we intersecting those two shapes, like so. Something like that. And now as for the shape of her hip, so at first we have this small line here, and then we curve it in this direction, and the other direction right here. This would be the pants part. As for the lower legs, we simply draw these straight long lines, maybe a bit longer than the upper legs, something like that, maybe a bit longer, maybe. Alright, and here the same. It's just we're not giving the feet any form yet. We are only drawing the legs until they get to the ground, like so. And now what I normally do in order to draw the feet is, at first I kind of draw only the part that is on the ground. I'm not giving it any three-dimensionality yet, but only this would be like the part that touches the ground, and over here too, and the feet are about this length. Okay, then I draw a kind of a projection onto the leg, like where, if we would cut it off from this shape here, the foot, and just have this original leg shape, like where, from what kind of line we would have to cut it off. Sounds morbid, but yeah, like a cross section of something. Okay, and then we connected this part here with the tip right here. Depending what kind of shape the feet have, you can vary the curvature. And this is, for me at least, a very easy way to draw the feet. It works well for these kind of very simplistic feet, simplistic kind of shoes. So, and for the tip, we also just have this kind of curve here is just part of the pattern. Now we should not forget, of course, the little diamonds on the knees. So we have one here and one here, more to the side. So, alright. And you can give her legs a bit more definition if you want to. They are not completely straight. Okay. And that's simply how you draw the legs. And now the only thing missing are the arms, of course, and she is going to hold something, and this thing is going to be the thing that she's looking at, and she is quite irritated about it. So the arms are very simple. They are just these long oval shapes. There is not any special sort of detail to it. It's very simple. So I have here this little circle for the base of the hand, then here very simplified hand and the fingers, and she is going to look at some smartphone or something like that, and this is the thing that she is irritated about. Why is it not doing as I say? So I'm going to also add the other hand, the other arm, give it a bit more curvature right here on the hip. Alright, and here is going to be the base of the hand, and I'm at first starting with this one because if the hand is at a specific position, then it's sometimes easier to start with the hand at first and then simply draw the parts of the arm to connect it. So this is what I'm doing here right now. Just simply draw this part of the hand, of the arm, and then simply connect it, like so. As simple as that. Give it maybe a bit more definition. But since it's hidden behind the waist and the hip, you don't see that much of the hand. Alright, so as long as I haven't forgotten anything important, I would say that this is pretty much it. So she is not that hard to draw, I tell you. Just a bunch of very simple shapes. Alright, and now I'm going to fast forward in order to do the outlining, the coloring and stuff, and I will do another drawing of her to show you that you can do so much more with these kind of basic techniques that I showed you just now. And while I'm doing that, while this fast forward is running, I will this time do something very different. Normally I give you some facts about the characters, but I was not really able to find anything interesting about her that would not be spoilers, you know? So instead I will do something completely different and tell you something about one of my favorite recipes that I found out just recently thanks to a friend of mine. It's a mug cake, so called. So it's a cake that you can make in a mug or a small bowl, and you bake it in a microwave. And it's super quick, it's super easy, and you can get a freshly nice baked cake in just no time. I love it, and so I have to share it, so enjoy.
A microwave mug cake is exactly what the name suggests. You can use any sort of mug you want. Of course it works with small bowls too. At first put in 4 teaspoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder, 4 teaspoons of sugar, optionally 2 teaspoons of granulated nuts, in this example I used hazelnuts, my favorites, sprinkle in a bit of salt, optionally a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 egg. Now I like to mix it already before we add the rest. This way it's easy to make sure that there are no flour chunks left. At the beginning mix it very slowly though, otherwise the fine powders will fly all over the place. Then add 3 teaspoons of milk and 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil, like sunflower oil for instance. Make sure that you scrape the previously mixed and heavier mass from the bottom and the walls, so everything is evenly mixed. Switch between a raising movement from the bottom to the top and a quick movement. You can also add some chocolate pieces or whatever else you'd like. I crushed some baking chocolate, making differently sized chocolate pieces. The big ones are going to sink down and you'll have some delicious molten cores at the bottom of the cake. The smaller pieces though will stay at the surface, making a nice chocolate glazing at the top. Now put it into the microwave for 1.5 to 2 minutes. I normally use the highest setting of my microwave, 900 watts. The cake is going to gain a lot of volume, so make sure that you left enough room for it in your bowl or mug. Be careful when taking it out of the microwave oven, it's very hot. And it is done. Enjoy your hot mug cake fresh from the microwave oven.
I have to continue, of course. Sorry. It's just so tasty. Alright. So, the second drawing was a bit different. I added her limb enhancers that she has at the beginning of the series, and they are very simple. They are just these cone shapes that are attached to where the elbows and the knees are. As simple as that. They are a bit longer than the normal limbs. You have to consider that. So her height would be taller than normally. Also, the fingers, they are even simpler. They are just these long cylinder shapes, as simple as that. And the feet were drawn pretty much the same way they were drawn at first, by just projecting onto the floor and also onto the leg and then just connecting them. The shape is just a bit pointier, you have to consider. But other than that, it is pretty much the same like here. It is only the lower legs and the lower arms that are replaced. No, you are not allowed to eat it. Chocolate is not good for cats. Well, and that's basically it. Alright, for this episode I chose a question which is very appropriate since it involves a lot of information and data and stuff like that. And it is, how do you decide what to draw for your tutorials? There are several different factors. The first one, which is pretty much the most important, is that I myself am interested in it and I have fun researching and drawing it. The second one would be, of course, what is demanded, what people would want to watch. And there are several different kind of strategies I can approach it on. The first one would be what is very well for sharing. What is seems very interesting when you read it. Like, for example, my line weight tutorial was doing very well. But one other factor is what would do well in the YouTube and Google searches. What are the things that people normally search a lot? And these two sides are pretty different. One that is very well shareable and is like at first glance very interesting when, for example, I post it on Reddit or something like that, gets a lot of views at the very beginning, but then it kind of decays pretty quickly too. And I am not getting a lot of views over time if it not gets shared somewhere. On the other hand, the ones that are constantly searched on Google and YouTube have a very constant base for new views and maybe even increasing. So I have to consider that. I have to consider both these sides. Optimal would be something that both of them would be combined, like they can be shared very well and they also are searched very often on YouTube. But yeah, it's very hard to say which would do well. Also, because I also have to consider what videos are already out there. Current trends are also very important. For example, Undertale characters that I did back then. Now I can see that the trend is slowly decaying, but I kinda did it early enough, so I got a lot of views on them. I also draw these Steven Universe characters because the show is so popular. Still, the main reason is because I personally love the show, but yeah. And one of the most important factors is what is essential for me to learn. What do I need in order to improve as an artist in terms of perspective, of composition, of colors, and so on and so on. So, thank you for watching. If you want to help me keeping the show on running, then you can also check out my Patreon page. Alright then, have fun drawing. nails fell off.